Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in another video today. And today we're going to be talking about the Los Angeles Lakers potentially signing Chris Paul. Now, there was reported a couple weeks ago before the Lakers even hired JJ Redick as their head coach that the Lakers, alongside the San Antonio Spurs and a couple other teams, would be interested in signing Chris Paul if he is released by the Golden State Warriors. I couldn't imagine there are a lot of teams that are interested in Chris Paul, even though he's such a great player. If he is not released, just saying like the Warriors are trying to trade him because that contract is so terrible. I see a lot of teams who would love Chris Paul and love to bring him in and have him be a part of their team. But I see a lot of teams that would say, "Hey, let's just stay away, and if he doesn't get cut, it's not a big deal. We'll survive. But if we stay away and he potentially gets cut, we'll go after him." I think there's a lot of teams that have the mindset of, we would absolutely love Chris Paul if he was a free agent. We'd bring him in without a heartbeat. But are we going to trade for him? Absolutely not. So I think that's in the probably the mindset for a lot of these teams and a lot of these GMs when it comes to Chris Paul. And I think the Lakers have that mindset as well. But I've always wanted to see Chris Paul and LeBron James play with each other. As a Rockets fan, I've had this wish going back after the 2017-18 season. If you guys remember, LeBron became a free agent after the Rockets lost that Game 7 against the Warriors, and the Cavaliers lost to the Warriors and got swept in the 2018 NBA Finals. LeBron was a free agent. Obviously, he went to the Lakers, but there were some rumors about the Rockets and that he could put the Rockets were one of the favorites to land LeBron. Outside of the Lakers and the Cavs, who were two of the favorites to bring LeBron in after he was a free agent, obviously the Cavs would re-sign him, but the Lakers were the favorite to bring him in. The Cavs were the second favorite to re-sign him. But after that, the Rockets were also one of the teams that was frequently mentioned potentially sign LeBron. So 2018, I was 10, I think. Almost 7. I turned 17 in a week. So, as a 10-year-old who had only been watching basketball for a season and a half, I started watching basketball in the 2016-17 season. I had it in my mindset that LeBron James was coming to the Houston Rockets and he wasn't going anywhere else. I was so excited to see Chris Paul and LeBron James play with each other. I mean, I had it on my screensaver on my iPad and my phone that Chris Paul was coming to the Rockets. It was like a picture of James Harden. Sorry, not Chris Paul. The LeBron James was coming to the Rockets. It was a picture of Chris Paul, LeBron James, and James Harden. I was in 5th grade at the time, and having a binder. Inside the binder, I had a printed picture of the three of them together. So you could imagine how heartbroken I was when LeBron James ends up signing with the Lakers. I mean, it wasn't that surprising. I was just a little mad. But I've always wanted to see Chris Paul. The point is, I've always wanted to see Chris Paul and LeBron James play with each other. I don't know if I want to really see them play with each other now that they're this old. Because Chris Paul's really at the end of his career. Obviously, LeBron's still really good. But, we kind of saw Chris Paul have one of his worst seasons this past season. Chris Paul, he was, had his, worst role ever in his career. Obviously, I think he didn't do too bad with the Warriors, but the lowest minutes per game in his career, 26.4. The lowest minutes per game in his career before that was 31.4 with the Phoenix Suns in the 2021-22 season. So his minutes dropped down by 5 minutes per game compared to the season before, 32 minutes per game with Phoenix. So his minutes went down by over 5.5 minutes per game. And this season he averaged 9.2 points per game. He averaged 6.8 assists per game. Coming off the bench and only playing 26 minutes a night and still getting almost 7 dimes a night is amazing to me. And he also averaged 1.5 steals per game on low minutes per game. And he averaged 4 rebounds per game. From 3, he had one of his best 3-point shooting seasons of his career. Not career, but recently, 37.2% Season before that, he shot 37.5, which is better than this season. But the season before that was 31.7%. Season before that was 36%. So, this was one of his best 3-point shooting seasons compared to the last 3 seasons. Chris obviously shot amazing from 3 and did very well in low playing time. Assuming D'Lo's gone, let's just say in this world where, the Lakers end up, or let's say it starts off with the Warriors releasing Chris Paul. Let's say the Warriors release Chris Paul and Chris Paul signs with the Lakers. And I think, honestly, D'Lo is probably going to accept that player option because he's not going to get that type of money from anyone else. It's like a $21 or $20 million player option. D'Lo's a great player. He's going to get some money in free agency for whoever brings him in, but he's not getting that much money. So he's going to opt that player option. They're going to trade him. So you can sign Chris Paul. You could trade D'Lo for depth, bench depth, and then after that, you have Chris Paul at point guard. You'd have Austin Reeves at shooting guard, LeBron at small forward, Rui Hachimura at power forward, and at center you'd have Anthony Davis, and then you bring some pieces in off the bench in a D'Lo trade. Honestly, that's not much of an improved team. Even though the head coaching is better with JJ Redick, I think the offense would probably be better facilitating with Chris Paul compared to D'Lo, and then also more efficient Chris Paul is than D'Lo. So yeah, honestly, I think Chris Paul would probably be better than D'Lo, obviously, in my opinion. And not only that, but do I think Chris Paul would be better than D'Lo? But, JJ Redick would be better than Darvin Ham. So this Lakers team would probably be an improved team, but, they want to win championships. I don't think that really helps them win a championship. Honestly, at Chris Paul's age, even though how good he still is, averaging 9 points per game and 7 assists per game, over almost 10 points per game and almost 7 assists per game, only 26 minutes per game. If he would have played his normal minutes in a season, I think Chris Paul probably would have averaged 13 or 14 points per game with probably 10, 11 assists per game. No, I'd say 10 assists per game, 13, 14 points per game Chris Paul would average if he got his normal minutes like he usually does compared to being off the bench with the Warriors. So, 9 points per game and 7 assists per game with the Warriors and 26 minutes per game is, probably with his normal minutes, Chris Paul would probably be getting 14, 15 points per game and probably 10 and a half assists per game, which are great numbers. Especially for someone that old. So, but I don't know if the Lakers bringing in JJ Redick and just Chris Paul and maybe some bench pieces for D'Lo in a trade takes them over the top, makes them better than they were last year. But with how good the West is, I think they're 6th or 5th seed with that team. So, you might need to bring in a better point guard. You have a guy like Trae Young available, but thing is, if getting rid of making a trade for Trae Young, you have to give up some assets. Rui is probably involved in that deal. One of D'Lo and one or both of D'Lo and Austin Reeves are involved in that potential deal. Not only that, but you're going to also have to give up a bunch of draft picks. So would you rather potentially sign Chris Paul and trade D'Lo for some depth, and then also potentially have a very better NBA coach than you did last year compared to Darvin Ham with JJ Redick? That's going to improve your team, but I don't know if it takes you to the top. So yeah, I know it doesn't take you to the top, especially with how good the West is. Look, on the East, a Lakers team with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, Austin Reeves, Rui, and some good bench pieces, especially if they potentially sign some guys in free agency. Look, I think that's probably a 4-3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Without maybe a 2 seed in the Eastern. No, I'd say probably the 3 or 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. But with how good the Western Conference is, it's probably the 5th or 6th seed or 7th seed in the Western Conference. That puts you right in the middle of the top. You got the top 10 seeds, the 10 seeds that in the Western Conference to make it to the play-in and the playoffs. And that puts you right in the middle if you're the 5th or 6th seed. That you're not a top team, and not often that a 5 or 6 seed has success in a postseason. I think this year the Dallas Mavericks were the 5th seed and went to the NBA Finals. But it's not often that you see a 5 or 6 seed have a lot of success in the postseason. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and peace out.